So what actually happens when the richest guy in the room decides to challenge the most powerful people in the country? Does all that gold buy your survival, or does the house always win?
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a millennia-old debate, money versus power. We're going to look at two absolute titans of wealth separated by literally 2,000 years to see exactly how empires of cash are built and, well, how the state systematically tears them down. Because here's the thing, money might build the bomb, but political power? Power holds the detonator.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Act 1, Rome's literal fire sales.
Meet Marcus Licinius Crassus. This guy was late Republic Rome's first true tycoon. And he didn't just want to be rich, he wanted total political dominance. His bankroll, a staggering 7,100 talents. To put that into perspective, that was roughly equal to the entire annual revenue of the Roman Republic. The guy was literally a walking national treasury.
So how exactly did he get all this cash? Through literal fire sales. See, Rome didn't have a fire department back then. Just these cheap, super flammable apartment buildings called insulae. So when a fire broke out, Crassus would roll up, offer the desperate owners pennies on the dollar for their burning properties, and then have his private army of 500 slave architects put out the flames and rebuild. It was a sprawling real estate empire built entirely on extortion and ashes.
But then came the hubris. Crassus famously boasted, and I love this quote, he said, "No one should be considered rich unless he could finance an army from his own income." Crazy, right? Massively jealous of conquerors like Julius Caesar and Pompey, the money man decided it was time to literally buy his way into military glory.
Which brings us to Act 2, a molten gold severance. Let's move to see how this builds into total ruin. First, he funded his own army to crush Spartacus, but Pompey ended up swooping in and stealing all the credit. Desperate for glory, Crassus launches this terribly planned, completely unprovoked invasion into the Parthian Empire. His slow, heavy Roman legions marched right into Serenus, a brilliant general whose camel-supplied archers were essentially the ancient world's equivalent of a machine gun.
At the Battle of Carrhae, the destruction was absolute. Crassus lost the battle, he lost the secret legionary eagles, he lost his own son, and ultimately, he lost his life. The state military machine just completely pulverized his mercenary dreams.
But the finale to this story is pure dark comedy. Legend actually has it that while the Parthian king was watching the Greek tragedy, the Bacchae, Crassus's severed head was used as a literal stage prop, and they supposedly stuffed its mouth with molten gold to mock his legendary greed. Absolute political power violently silenced the ultimate money man.
All right, let's jump forward. Act 3, the modern tech emperor.
Hard cut to the modern era. Enter Jack Ma, a guy who built a digital empire just as sprawling. Co-founding Alibaba in a small apartment in 1999 with a crucial $20 million seed investment from SoftBank, he pioneered digital financial inclusion across China by creating Alipay. He built an e-commerce ecosystem easily rivaling Amazon and quickly became the untouchable global face of Chinese innovation.
His ambition was basically his rocket fuel. Back in 1999, he boasted, "Our competitors are not in China, but in America's Silicon Valley." He was incredibly charismatic and fiercely independent. But pretty soon, that massive digital finance empire of his started to actually rival the state's traditional banking sector.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is the sheer scale. $35 billion. In late 2020, Ma was preparing to take Alibaba's financial sister company, Ant Group, public. It was projected to be the largest IPO in world history, a $35 billion crown that would have absolutely cemented him as a modern financial emperor.
Act 4, the $35 billion roast.
But, just like Crassus, Ma forgot who actually owned the airspace. At a Shanghai summit in October 2020, Ma stood right in front of government elites and delivered this blistering speech. He called China's financial regulators an old people's club. He literally mocked them to their faces. He lit the fuse.
And man, the state's retaliation was terrifyingly swift. Within days, Ma was summoned. By November, that historic Ant Group IPO abruptly canceled. And by April 2021, Alibaba was slapped with a record $2.8 billion fine for monopoly abuses. In the absolute blink of an eye, the state erased billions.
But the most chilling part of all this? The famously outspoken Jack Ma simply vanished from the public eye for months. It was a complete deplatforming. As the government heavily regulated the tech sector and shifted toward their common prosperity doctrine, Jack Ma learned the hard way that absolutely no amount of digital wealth shields you from a sovereign state.
Which brings us to Act 5. The state holds the detonator.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core dynamic we're talking about today. Marcus Crassus faced the physical brutality of ancient political machines. Jack Ma faced the bureaucratic erasure of the modern regulatory state. Sure, the weapons changed from camel archers and molten gold to canceled IPOs and massive fines, but the power dynamic? It's identical.
The modern state's arsenal is just incredibly vast, erasing massive public offerings overnight, imposing billions in fines instantly, shifting entire economic doctrines on a whim, or utilizing things like golden shares, taking a tiny 1% stake just to get a government seat on the board of a private firm. Unlike physical destruction, it is a swift, silent dismantling.
So, the crucial point is this. As a tycoon, you can amass literally limitless capital. You can build sprawling real estate empires out of Roman ashes, or construct digital ecosystems that rival the GDP of entire nations. But wealth only goes so far. Billionaires are ultimately just passengers when the government decides to drive the car. Ultimate political power decides exactly who survives.
You can spend a lifetime accumulating the capital to buy the world, but when push comes to shove, you really have to ask yourself, who actually owns the detonator?